What's going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of the Spiritual Word. As always, I apologize for any noises in the background in advance and anything of that nature. And I also like to start these off with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research to come to your own conclusions, to make your own decisions, and I believe in your ability to do so, to be your own person. So, before I get started, I want to say that I have a audio version of the podcast anywhere you can find audio podcasts, and I have a video version of this podcast on YouTube. They're both named The Spiritual Word. I'm your host, Jackie, and I upload Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. If science, psychology, self-help, spirituality, and philosophy are things that you're interested in, then I recommend subbing or following whatever platform you're finding me on. So, I figured I'd do this. I want to start doing a series, and I'm gonna call it Spirituality for Dummies, just so that I can get really into the basics and basically just like help you understand how to basically just be your own person, which honestly it sounds kind of counterintuitive because I'm showing you what I did to be my own person and whatever the case is, but it's more be your own thinker than be your own person because, if you learn how to learn, if you learn how to think, you can develop any skill, you can develop any talent. Therefore, you can mold yourself and make yourself into whoever you choose to be. So, I'm going to start doing this crash course, which starts with this episode. So, let's get right into spirituality for dummies. So, first things first, I'd say that the most basic idea or the most beginner friendly idea would be meditation, just because meditation you can do it anywhere. You can do it at any time, you can do it at any place, and people have this connotation that they don't know if it's working or not, or people have this connotation that it might be a lot of effort, maybe it's a chore, maybe whatever the case is for people that blocks their vision when it comes to meditation. And meditation is extremely basic. And so, first things first, you should learn how to meditate. And if you want to learn how to meditate, I already have a podcast out, maybe like 3 episodes back from this one. So maybe 2 episodes back, I talk about how to meditate and the unconventional ways that I meditate and put it into my practical daily life. Like, for example, I meditate if I'm waiting at the DMV, or if I'm waiting at the doctor's, or if I'm waiting for an appointment, or if I'm waiting for a job interview, or if I'm already at a job and I'm waiting for something. So, another kind of basic idea when it comes to spirituality would be writing down your thoughts. And I say that's basic because it's very introductory. You don't need to understand anything about that. You just have to write down your thoughts. And let me kind of get you to understand why that's beneficial and why that's useful and why that will help you become your own person. If a friend came up to you and they asked you for advice, you would know exactly what to say because it's not your life. Because you can see the objective clearly, whether that person is asking you for some sort of spiritual guidance, or maybe some career guidance, or maybe some schooling guidance, or maybe you do the same hobbies and you just understand something a little bit at a deeper level than they do, and they're like, oh, how do you do this? You would be able to answer them clearly because you're not where they sit. You're not at their level of understanding. And the same thing goes for your thoughts. Very simply put, if you write your thoughts down, then you will be able to see your own thoughts from an outside point of view. And being able to see your life from an outside point of view puts a lot of stability underneath you. It puts a lot of stability under your feet, under your mind, under the way that you think, under the ways that you operate. And through this, you don't even realize, and through meditation, and you might not even realize, you're self reflecting. And self reflecting is the gateway to spirituality because it opens up questions. It makes you curious, it makes you playful, it makes you childlike. And the other, I'd say that there's three parts to this. Meditation is definitely one of the biggest gateways that I've found into opening my thoughts to different ways of thinking and to open my mind up to different possibilities. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I was madly judgmental because I don't think I've ever been super duper 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 judgmental, but I was judgmental towards people who I viewed as bad people. Like, for example, if somebody was struggling with an addiction, or if there was somebody who was struggling with, um, some sort of just things that happen in life, and I view those people as, oh, well, you're not really struggling. You're just putting this character and playing out this character and saying, I do struggle. And, these bad things happen to me. And that gives me the right to hurt everybody else. And I would judge those people for using their pain to create more pain. And once I was able to sit down with myself and meditate on why those people do that, it's because they don't know any better. And even if they do know better, they really don't, or else they would know the matter of the fact is that karma comes back around. And if I'm hurting people, I myself expect to get hurt back. And that is why their pain never goes away. And it's opened me up to different ways of thinking. And because of the ways that it's opened me up, I've been able to get myself level headed. I've been able to kind of talk myself out of different situations. Like, for example, something that I do struggle with is the, and I wouldn't say that I struggle with this, I would say that it's a conscious choice that I don't realize is a conscious choice until it happens, is the way that I use my anger as power. I use my anger towards being bigger than other people in certain moments in order to play out whatever favor I want. And obviously, because I'm conscious of that, I choose in those moments. Like, for me, I feel like my teenager hormones never went away. Like, I was still, very angry up until 24, and I'm 24. So it's just that I don't use that anymore as a tactic to gain power from the situations. And then I went deeper into myself. And the only reason that I did that was because I felt that I was only going to be heard if I was mad. I felt that I would only make a difference in my environment if I could sit down and lay the law down, because people don't listen to people who are soft. You know what I mean? Like, in this world, you don't really get listened to unless you have a gun in your belt. And that was the world that I was raised in. I was raised in very ghetto society and very low class society, in a place where if I'm not speaking loudly or if I'm not yelling directly at you, I'm not heard. And I, realized that through self reflection. And I realized that through these different methods. I realized that through meditation. I realized that through writing my thoughts down. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, this is what I'm thinking about. It could be like, oh, today I had this thought and I noticed this thought. Today I felt like this. And, another thing is that you have to be open to the divine masculinity in you and the divine femininity in you as well. And all of these are fundamental basic things that you can go even deeper into. If you want to go down a rabbit hole of what it means to meditate, you can go down a rabbit hole of what it means to meditate. It's just based off what you want to do. And spirituality has no beginning because there's no end. And it's just like everything in life, you don't know where to start, but the only way to start is to start. So if you want to get into spirituality, I'd highly, 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 highly recommend writing down your thoughts and your feelings, and also meditate. And if you don't know how to do meditation, or if you don't know how to meditate, I have a video on how to meditate. And I will get into different spiritual tools that I myself have played around with and I myself have used in the past. Like, for example, people, when they're getting into spirituality, they get into like rocks and they get into crystals and they get into tarot cards and they get into angel oracles and how to talk to your guides and how to talk to your angels and how to talk to your deities. But we're going to take this one step at a time. So, for the sake of simplicity, we're only going to talk about the gateway, or at least my view on the doorway to spirituality. And I think that that truly starts with self reflection. And because self reflection is the most powerful tool that there is in spirituality, you will be advancing at speeds that people who only use divination, or who only use tarot cards, or who only use oracles, or who only, I don't know, use the crystals and the rocks. You're going to be accelerating at paces faster and be able to catch up with their way of thinking through simple meditation, through the simplicity that is self reflection. And the whole purpose of you being able to self reflect, I say this loosely and I say this lightly because you can attach whatever meaning you want to give. But for me personally, the purpose of self reflection is to self reflect, is to learn from yourself. And that's what the universe is here to do. There's no other purpose for us existing other than to be here and experience now. So, what can you learn from right here, right now? The only thing you have to go off of is what you're thinking about right here, right now. And meditation is the way that you tap into that. Meditation is the way that you get aware of what you're already thinking. Because I guarantee you, you zoned out at least twice while listening to me or while watching me. And you haven't even realized it, you didn't even catch it. Because meditation trains you to catch it. Meditation is the way that you train yourself to be like, oh, you know what, I had this thought. I had this thought. Or when I was driving, I was practicing meditation, so I was trying to focus on what I was doing physically. And while I was driving, I noticed that I was about to zone out, and then I snapped back into myself. And me snapping back into myself is the way that I caught myself, and that's how I know that this meditation is working. Meditation is honestly just a way to expand your, what is it called? Your attention span. Because meditation is your attention, and you're just focusing. And meditation could also be you kind of focusing on something that you directly want to connect to. So it could be a multitude of different things, but what I personally have experienced is that it enlarges your ability to concentrate on whatever the thing is, whatever you're trying to concentrate on for longer, especially if you can meditate for a longer amount of time. It trains your mind to be able to focus. And it settles your minds, like it calms the water that's going on. It calms the storm that's going on behind your mind, behind your face. And everybody's storm is different. So once you take notice and see the picture that is your mind, you get to use that to your advantage. Now you see the picture, now you can better help yourself. That's why I also say that most of the things that I talk about are psychology based, self help based, and philosophy based. Because these principles don't come from somebody directly telling you, oh, I'm a doctor and this is scientifically proven. Because we don't even know what consciousness is. We don't even understand why we have thoughts yet. So, take everything that I'm saying very loosely and very lightly because I will get in depth in further episodes, and tomorrow will be a more in-depth video on, spiritualities for dummies. And I'm gonna do these topics like meditation, journaling, shadow work, and all these different things, but I'm gonna do them kind of like this, where it's just like a really fast run through, and then I'll go into detail in the next episode. So this is just kind of a crash course. You don't even really need to pay attention to all of this. So, for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna just burn right through this episode, and tomorrow we will go in depth on meditation, and we will go into depth on self-reflection, because I feel like those are the gateway tools in your way of thinking and in your way of, if you want to be a spiritual person, or if you want to connect to your guides or your angels or your deities or your crystals or your tarot cards, this is the way to do it. This is the way that I have started, that a lot of people have started, and it's usually the easiest because you don't need to go out and buy anything. Like, if I was teaching you tarot, you would probably need a tarot deck, and you could make your own, which I guess, you don't need money for. But most of the time, people don't want to do that. They want the real deal. And this is stuff that you can do for free. You can journal on your phone, on your notes, and you can meditate anywhere you go. So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. Like I said, tomorrow we'll go into depth on, what it means and how you can get yourself rolling on this shit when it comes to meditation and when it comes to journaling or shadow work, whatever you want to call it, because I feel like shadow work is you realizing all of this shit that's going on in your head, and it's hard and it's complicated. So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. As always, I appreciate and I love you, my babies. If you're new or if you're returning, welcome back, and thanks for being here, because I appreciate you. And yeah, I think that's it. And I almost ended this like a prayer. That's kind of funny. Anyways, not gonna pay too much attention to that. Thanks for tuning in and tapping in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.